Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Alpha Circle, and if we switch over to here, I've worked with Alpha Circle before. I've reviewed their music and I've interviewed them, and while it has been a while since I listened to their material, I'm very excited to hear Soarin. We're great to see what they're up to, so without further ado, we're going to listen to this track from start till finish. Let's go. Oh, interesting direction here with these arpeggios.
What's a dream come true if not shared with you?
Nice dynamic range to this production immediately. Starting nice and quiet, bringing in the instruments gradually, one by one.
Reach and hide you helped us to. We'll make our dreams, I share my dreams with you.
I like how we're going to this Christmas, this kind of warm, sort of caring texture with these overdriven guitars now. It's kind of very wispy, a kind of misty arrangement, kind of like a sunrise or something like that, which makes a lot of sense considering the single art that we've got over on the top left. Or is that is that sunset or sunrise? Nice work on the toms as well there. It's interesting because a lot of the time you get this focus on the hi-hats and the cymbals, but I don't necessarily think that would have been the right choice here, you know? There's already a lot of hot, bright stuff going on with those guitars. To have the bass and the drums kind of sync together is a better decision, I think.
I remember when we got the news, I looked for you in a crowded room or two. When people spoke, I watched their lips, but all I heard was you.
It doesn't sound like a particularly pleasant situation. I could be wrong here. I need more time to interpret the story, but just that, the angst and like the tension in the vocal performance here with those harmonies as well. We're coming through and we're soaring up and we're soaring up with you. So are they literally ascending, or is this a figurative thing where like they're going up in the world or something like that? I'm not quite sure. Oh, nice break here with this clean guitar though. I quite like that. It's very pleasant. It's a nice change in texture from what we've had with the vocals so far, and I'm liking that Alpha Circle is allowing space for the other elements of the mix to have their time. Are you ready for us? Are you ready for us? Yeah. That was a nice interlude here. I'm just trying to figure out what it's all about. I might have a quick kind of cheeky listen through the verse before before I do the conclusion, but again, lovely vocal harmonies here. I'm liking how they soar, and the part where we're paying extra attention there, and the higher frequencies do sound like we're kind of flying there. It gives that airiness to it. There's interesting decisions we made with the guitar parts. I like how we've panned them to make it sound wider in this chorus section. It instantly makes the verse and the interlude and the whole parts distinct, which I think is a smart move there harmonically, as well as from a production perspective, an arrangement perspective. Oh, we're changing the bass line and the progression here. I like how we're kind of flirting with a heavier tone here, but we're still trying to balance it out with the clean vocals and stuff. I think that's a smart move. I think it would have been kind of alien to me if Alpha Circle went for like kind of an alternative rock kind of vibe with this. having these kind of clean, jangly guitars is more that kind of style, and I vibe with that, you know? It matches the texture and coloration of the vocals well. Gotta shout out the drummer here. Those drum fills are pretty succinct and they're pretty clean. To be honest, those transitions are a lot more interesting because of that, you know? Not that they weren't before, but it's that little bit of spice and zazz, you know? Returning to that theme we had instantiated at the beginning. Smart move, way to finish it off. And those rides, dude, the way the drum kit has been recorded is just so sensational. I love how like kind of, how do I describe it? The shimmer to those cymbal hits, you know, from like an EQing perspective, and just, it sounds like they recorded it live. You can kind of tell, you can kind of imagine the drummer doing that. And I just don't think that's something you can kind of characterize or realize from, say, using drum part samples or something like that. This is why it's really important when you can to record your own drums if possible, you know? It's just going to sound a lot more real, you know? That's a very pretty way to finish it as well, with that little, little hammer-on section at the end there. Excellent. Well, I'm just going to have a listen through the verse again with the conclusion. I don't want to kind of be misinformed, you know? See, that's the problem with being a music reviewer. Literally, the first verse is saying, you know, we'll share our dreams with you, we'll help get us through it, we're going to soar, and everyone's just going to soar towards achieving their goals and ambitions. So that's why I check the verses nowadays, especially with bands I worked with before, because I don't want one of my reviews to be like lesser quality than the others, just because I couldn't be bothered hearing it again, you know? But this is a conclusion for my review of Soarin' by Alpha Circle. You know, that again, the story I believe is about encouraging people to go for their dreams, to fly in the sky, fly high, be proud of themselves, have faith in themselves. But not only that, for them to do it together. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment, and it's something that I think a lot of people will appreciate and resonate with. It's kind of a vibe that I think people need now at this time more than ever, with all the crazy stuff going out in the world. You know, and it's one thing to say, hey, you're okay, you're doing well, but to kind of bring that person up with you is that extra bit of zazz, you know, as I've said before, with like the instrumentation and stuff, performances and drum fills. And I think that Alpha Circle, considering the success they've had with these albums and stuff like that, and the kind of the reach they've had, and their ability to just continue to produce really great music, is something that I think people will be able to say, oh, Alpha Circle, if they can achieve their dreams and ambitions, and if they can do what they want to do with music, why can't I do what I want to do with stuff? So the message therefore becomes a bit more authentic. The singing, you know, with the lead vocals, including the backing vocals as well, was great. I enjoyed listening to this band sing. I enjoy hearing them. You know, I enjoy the melodies they have here. I like how we were brave enough to not have this thoroughly vocal oriented. I liked how we allowed room for the drums and the guitar parts and everything to show vulnerability there. It kind of allowed us to kind of come up with a very gentle introduction, and then for us to talk about, you know, reaching our dreams and together and coming after them and stuff like that. I think that makes sense, you know. It was interesting because it was quiet. I don't think that you could have had the song come in with the perceived loudness of the chorus. It's more interesting when tracks are quiet, you know, as long as there's not nothing, as long as they're not just going dun dun dun, you know, as long as you're putting some actual effort and trying to be creative with your approach with the themes. That's kind of the thing that'll nail it for a lot of people. That's what'll get them hooked. You know, the vocal melodies were clean, and the backing vocals harmonized well. There was sincerity to the way the singer was articulating, expressing themselves, and the colorations there in the back, in like the hook sections, for example, worked well with the triads and all that. And they harmonized well with the other instruments in the mix. You know, the structure of the track was your typical sort of like intro and then verse, chorus, with an interlude there, kind of repeating the idea of keep going, we'll get there, you know, eventually. And I like that. I like that. I like how it's aiming to inspire and motivate people to go that extra mile to get to where they need to be in life. You know, it was a simple song that I just didn't understand. I think at 3 minutes 21, it used its space well. There was no filler. You know, the instrumentation with the guitar, bass, drum parts, and the vocals and everything. Everyone played their parts well. Their music was uplifting, bright, charismatic. There were lovely, sort of easy to digest sort of melodies that were played on the guitar parts and stuff. The drum fills were articulate, but never overplayed. And everything was very supportive of the main message of the track, and there wasn't a note out of place. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering was up to par and up to scratch, and I'm very happy with the quality of that as well. We had musicians that not only know the importance of songwriting and arrangement and performance and the story and the way of telling the story, but they are also aware that they need to get their mixing and stereo panning and EQing and the effects chains and the compression limiting down pat. And that's something that not only came through with the actual sound tones from the recorded instruments, but also came through from what we had going on with the actual, like, because it's not like we had like an FX soaked vocal chain or anything like that. It was reasonably raw in that respect, but there was enough there just to give it that bit of sparkle there that I think everyone needs in their lives, especially when we're hearing a track in 2022. We can't take for granted that people will be okay with a thoroughly dry vocal track. Add a little bit of reverb in there, kind of give it a bit of extra presence and stuff like that, a bit of delay occasionally, and it's good. And Alpha Circle nailed that. And then finally we had the limiting and compression, which was sensational. It was nice and loud without pumping, but there was also dynamic range as well, which I thoroughly appreciate. We weren't trying to make everything the same loudness. I feel very refreshed and very relaxed after listening to this. And yeah, that's basically my review. I'm just going to turn the camera on. I guess before I switch over to the main camera, you know, when I listen to musicians over a period of time and they continue to create, you know, great tracks, it makes me very happy. Sometimes you have bands that kind of get lazy or kind of decadent and they lose what made them special in the first place. But I don't think for Alpha Circle that's the case. It'll be cool to see what they do in future, and I wish them the best of luck with that, because I think Soarin is a great track and it will make their fans and listeners very happy. That's effectively my review though of Soarin by Alpha Circle. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Alpha Circle some love via their various social medias, Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either have more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out!